I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration. When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Yo, 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 welcome back to the fifth round. As always, your boy, Stephen Moustaris. And shit, the big 2-9 just turned 29 yesterday. So, I wanted to get a video up for UFC Orlando, just the wild shit we had in that fight card. But, I took the day off, got a little drunk with the homies, just had a great dinner, played some basketball, did the whole thing, had a good-ass day. And as any 29-year-old, I guess, does on a birthday, it doesn't mean anything anymore, so... But shit, man, gets me into the UFC Orlando that just happened Saturday. And like we were saying, or I was saying, I guess, before, this whole fight card, it seems like these fight nights recently have been, kind of like lacking the big names, like the name value, lacking the, I guess, just the common eye of us fans to really bring them in. And they've kind of been lacking, I would say, the last 3 or 4 of, other than the main events, and actually some of the main events got canceled, like last one with Derek Lewis and stuff. So, they haven't been the greatest. But then we get this fight card in Orlando. It seemed like, and they always, this one thing I'm very grateful for, especially I think it was for my 14th birthday. I don't know, or it's usually that weekend, like a 3rd, 2nd, 6th, 7th, something around that time. And it's always that first weekend of December, man. And they're always delivering. And like this one had what I think I named off 17, 18 household names. Like if this was a card 2-3 years ago, pay-per-view status. My girl Amanda Hebos was supposed to fight, but sadly Tracy Cortez had to back out. I don't know what happened, but she didn't. So it's a good thing she didn't lose on my birthday, or I guess I would rather her win, but still. And I mean, you had Mark Diakase, Michael Johnson, Darren Elkins, just naming some off the feed. Jack Hermanson, who ended up losing, but I mean, Wonderboy Thompson, Kevin Holland, Brian Barberina, RDA. Yeah, I mean, go on for days. Literally, you can go on for days. It was a Clay Guida, stack card all the way around. And I know I'm missing some off the top of the head, but I mean, Matt Schnell was in there, took a loss sadly, but man, brings me to the main event. And I think we were all sitting there like, we knew this was a great matchup. And for us fans, I feel like we were pretty upset on the matchup because it's two very well-loved, much-loved fighters for us fans. Like, we all love them. And, like, Kevin Holland, you cannot love. He's always bringing it. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's one of the nicest guys ever. He's probably the nicest guy ever that has the ability to kick you in the fucking face and knock you out. I'm willing to say that. And, I was sitting there, I was like, man, Wonderboy's getting a little older, but I like how it's a stand-up fight. I think he'll be able to pick and choose his spots. And, I thought he would grind it out, but, I did think there was a strong chance. Kevin Holland, how athletic he is and how long he is to really get up in there. And, man, fireworks from the fucking first start of the bell, just fireworks. And before I get too crazy into like the exchanges and shit, I know a lot of people right now are probably sitting there and hating on Kevin Holland because I know he had Wonderboy had tripped over himself in the first round, and Kevin Holland easily had dominant position on him. And Kevin Holland said, no, I'm letting you up, because they did that little like verbal agreement of just being a stand-up fight. And I know for the common fan, yeah, and us diehard MMA fighters and shit that like truly want to have that blessing, like we would all die to have that one chance to be in the UFC, like, so we'd want to take advantage of it, and we would never do that, especially if you're good on the ground. You'd never let somebody up. But it's something to be said about Kevin Holland and those type of fighters like that. Like, I mean, Kevin Holland's way better than Darren Elkins, but like Darren Elkins was on the card, Brian Barberina was on the card, like these certain guys that have kind of not came out and said they're not really chasing a belt anymore, but they definitely have taken that role and have accepted that role as just a fan favorite fighter. Like Kevin Holland, I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but this man has easily lost 4 or 5 of his last 6 or 7 fights. And I know that Kyle Dawkins one, I think, was a headbutt. I think, I'm pretty sure, I could have him wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was him. And so it was a disqualification, even though it looked like a knockout at first. But still, he has lost some of the biggest fights of his life. He has lost, and you're sitting there, you're like, yeah, you know, as somebody who's chasing a belt, you're upset for him. But, like, man, he brings it every time. He's talking. He's having fun. Outside of the Hamzat fight, he's always made it a fight. So, you know, first 2 rounds, these guys are absolutely throwing. Both of them are hitting each other, rocking each other. Wonderboy was finding that home with that left all fucking night, that straight left. And, I mean, Holland was honestly finding a lot, too. He was landing a lot of elbows in that clinch. He was doing a lot of work on the clinch. It was great. And then that 3rd round came out, and Kevin Holland's like, slow down. And like DC said, it's like, oh, no, this is about to go downhill quick. And then, you know, up until that 3rd round, we were looking at maybe – it was definitely a potential fight of the year. We were on pace for sure. And so, I mean, it's definitely up there for best 2-round or under fight of the year. Like, I know this went 4 rounds and they called it or whatever, so it's not necessarily a 2-round and under fight, but for what actually happened in the first 2 rounds, it's up there for the greatest 2 rounds you'll see ever. And the fans were having all the excitement in the world, and it continued to be exciting. It just, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson started to take off on this man, Kevin Holland. And I mean, a lot of us saw it, and especially if you're watching this, you probably saw it. But man, I'm sitting there as impressed as I am with Wonderboy Thompson at 39 years old to go out there and beat a much younger, much more athletic guy in Kevin Holland. And like that, and destroy him, probably put on one of his best performances ever, if not his best performance ever. I'm just as equally as fucking impressed with, and I know this isn't something you should be impressed with, doesn't mean you're winning fights. Like, look at Darren Elkins, look at all these guys, like I had mentioned, Brian Barberino, all these guys, Robbie Lawler, all these guys, like, but these guys got fucking chins, though. Kevin Holland's chin, I have never... It's the punches and everything were one thing. Those straights, I think, would have rocked a lot of people. I mean, you saw them straights knock out the likes of a lot of fucking people. I'm blank as shit on names right now, but I got them all. But, like, the Johnny Hendricks one's for sure the one I'm thinking of that just straight to just fucked him up, had him rattled. And then you just saw Wonderboy taking off. Like, these guys with great chins would be rocked by those, but... bless me. But, man, I have never seen somebody take 5, 6, 7 clean shin to the chin work, and not even to mention the 4 or 5 heel kicks that landed in that 4th round. Like, Kevin Holland, there was a time where Wonderboy was in the southpaw stance, left hand in the back, power hand back. This man literally wound it up like he was about to throw a baseball, and we're talking, like, it's like you're in kickboxing and Muay Thai, it's like you're just sitting there, you're just warming up, you're hitting the fucking bag as hard as you can, you're throwing your power kicks. And Wonderboy, I'm talking wound up harder than I've ever seen somebody wind up and throw one straight to, like, it literally was like the Ronda Rousey Holly Holm kick, wraps around her head and shit. And this man, Kevin Holland, was rocked by it for sure, but just stood there still. And it might have been because he was leaning up against the cage, but still, that would put people out. Like, hardest kick I might have ever seen, like outside of a heavyweight. And this man just takes it, lets it wrap around his face. Some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. Going into this fight, I kind of had rumblings of, like, you know, Wonderboy, this is probably his retirement fight if he loses. Now it's like, what do you do with him? You don't want to put him up against a wrestler. We see what happens with, like, the Bilal. Hamzat would fuck him up. Fucking Habib, Colby Covington, all these guys would give this man work. And even if he wants to jump up, it doesn't matter. It would be pretty wild. There's plenty of options out there, though, if they're going to keep it, like, standing and everything. I mean, I know Leon's the champion right now, but say Leon Edwards goes out and loses to Usman here in the next month or two. You don't tell me Leon Edwards, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fights one of the greatest ones. Wonderboy. A lot of people are calling for the Wonderboy Jorge fight, but I don't know how I like that fight, because Jorge could land one. I get it, but I don't know. Wonderboy, we've seen Jorge with like the length and, like, the kickboxers that can keep the distance. Like, it's usually not the prettiest. Like, if he fought Leon, I think it would be a really tough fight. But Jorge is the man. I get it, but he's also getting up there in age. So I don't know, but so is Wonderboy. I would love to see that fight. I'd like to see anybody fight Jorge Masvidal, whichever one you want to call. But still, there's plenty out there. Kevin Holland, that's where it's a tough one. That's why I didn't like the matchup that much, because one of our favorite guys had to lose. And for both of them, if you lost this fight, this was a crucial one to win, because I don't know what's next for Kevin Holland. Like, he's going to have those exciting fights, but, like, he's in this weird position where he's too good for, like, that middle class of the division, where, like, no offense, like the Brian Barbarinas, the old Robbie Lawlers, like the Nick Diaz even. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, fun fights for this man. I don't know. He's like too good for them guys, like the Kyle Dawkins, like them, that type of guys. But then he's also just not at the level of, like, the Derek Brunsons. You know, I would like to see the Darren Till fight. That would be pretty awesome. But, you know, he's not there. Like the Covington, the Usmans, everybody. You know what I'm saying? He's got, when it comes Bilal Muhammad, when it comes to these wrestlers, Vettori, you know, if he moved up, like, because I know he's platoon 2 divisions. I'm just thinking of all these guys. Whitaker, boy, that'd be a fun fight with him and Adesanya, though. Kevin Holland and Adesanya, but I know he's at 170. So it's tough. It's just tough because, I mean, we're just trying to work things out. This is what I'm saying. It was so crucial to win this fight. So, you know, I would love to see I'd like to see Kevin Holland with any stand-up. Same with Wonderboy. I'd feel like they're just in this time. Do I think Wonderboy can get to a title? I don't think so anymore. I do think he could. If they place the right matchups with him, like, say Darren Till gets a big win this weekend, maybe throw him up against Darren Till. That'd be a clutch victory. The Kelvin Gastelum fight I wouldn't be mad at, but I know Kelvin's kind of in that middle stance. It's just tough right now because, I mean, he's sooner or later he's going to have to fight the Gilbert Burns again, the Colby Covingtons, the Usmans, like I said, I like the Edwards fight, but, you know, there's going to be some really tough fights out there for him. The Bilal Muhammad's, like I said, again, like, he doesn't do well with those. So, man, tough stuff. But there definitely is something to be said. And I'm not mad at it. I do like the guys out there that are young and they're shooting for the title because they have all these aspirations still. But you also have to be pretty open to, at the same time, of these guys that are getting a little older and they're fighting just a fight still, like the Jim Millers, the Clay Guidas, the Brian Barbarinas. I'm a huge fan, clearly. I bring him up all the time. He's not the greatest fighter ever, but I just like the heart. The Darren Elkins, all these guys. I mean, honestly, a lot of these guys that we see. And then you got the guys that are a little older, like the Wonder Boys and the when Woodley was kind of doing his thing. And, you know, honestly, at this rate, there's a lot of guys like that. Like Holloway's probably in that position now. I hate to say it, but like people like Ortega and guys that get like 2 or 3 chances at a title and kind of just keep flopping them, like Jorge Masvidal, like these guys that got their chances, but they kind of just keep letting them go. Like, you are these fighters that are just fighting for the name value, the money, just having fun, and we gotta really love those guys, to be honest. We really do. Like, and I have all the faith in like Corey Sandhagen and guys like this, but like Sandhagen's the same way. Like, he's had a couple chances now, kind of lost the big fights. Like, anything can happen in that division. Anybody could win any matchup any day, but like just the way things are falling for him and his cards, like, you know, people are getting older, they take a lot of damage. So, you know, I do have a little spot in my heart, even though the competitor in me is like, if you don't have a chance, like for me, like I always told myself, if I was an MMA fighter, like a little high level one, it's like, you know, even in amateur, like, you're going to fight a couple times. I know if you take a loss or two, like, you got to take them to get better. But, you know, if you lose a couple of them big fights to people that, you know, like, aren't even at the championship level yet, like, it would be hard for me as a competitor to know that I can't beat these guys. And I know I'd keep working at it, but if, you know, you lose 3 or 4 of them big fights, and every time you get like the little lesser value guys, you win, but, you know, them high level guys you fight, it would be really tough to keep fighting and to know you're not a champion or you don't have that in you. So, but I do have that love for those guys that can take that, move on from it, and say, fuck it, man, I could still be a highlight show. So, seriously, I'm loving the UFC currently. We got 2 more cards of the year. I'm probably going to do a little like 5th round, you know, awards show. So I'm pretty fucking excited for that. So, seriously, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Kevin Holland, I tweeted this already. Thank you for that fight. That was fucking amazing. I'm sad that Holland broke his hand and the corner stopped it. I'm happy the corner stopped it. He probably took that 4th round was one of the more lopsided rounds I've ever seen in my life. Especially that's like one of those things in on UFC, you know, EA Sports UFC 4. Like, it's one of those things where like you're fighting online and you start timing people up so well that you're just in your bag and you're just destroying this guy. He can't touch you in the game. Like, it literally reminded me of that because Wonderboy literally it was full hands down. Just every time that Holland was about to throw, like he had the distance dialed. Like you see these guys in that flow state, and Wonderboy Thompson was in that flow state. That man couldn't be touching that fourth round, end of that third round, like a round and a half of just, I have you so locked in and you're tired and you're fucked up. You can't throw the right hand anymore. And even if you had all of that, I'm still locked in and I have you timed up so well. You're not going to touch me. Your takedowns, I have them locked in. Like, you're not getting them. Like, this man was so dialed in that fourth round. Name's Dial. Last name Din. But seriously, man, it was so fucking impressive. But shit, the fifth round is always your boy Stephen Moustaris. And let's go, baby.